We do. It's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. Today we're going to revisit the sionyx aurora night vision camera. It's a camcorder. It has three settings: day. It could actually use during the day, and it's really good during the day. It could fill in for a palm quarter, really. Twilight, which is sort of silly, and night, which is the most sensitive. Well, when you go to night, it moves some infrared filter at an optical path. And that's what makes it sensitive. Now, it has a f1.4 14mm lens, but it's rather narrow. So what I did is I went out and I bought a Pearstone DVP WA07-43 Pro Digital 0.7x wide-angle lens, 43mm, made in China. I think I had the Raynox originally, and they were very cheap and they were very good, but then the prices went up, and this was at the old Raynox price, so I bought this, and I was apprehensive because it said made in China, but it turned out to be just as good as the Raynox. So it's supposed to be waterproof and shockproof, which is, you can mount it on a gun, but so you could do night hunting, I guess. I'll take this off, show you real quick. This is annoying. All right, that's the viewfinder. It takes a Fuji battery, although I have a cheap knockoff battery. It takes a micro SD card. I have a 64 gigabyte in there. You could adjust your shutter speed in movies to 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 15 frames per second. And I put it on 7.5 frames per second. Why? Because the file sizes are smaller and you could see deeper. Okay? It has a digital zoom. These buttons do a digital zoom. So I zoom up all the way digitally, then I focus, and then I go all the way out, and I go up one click. Because of the vignetting or vignetting in the corners, it's tolerable like this. Plus I have a EV of minus 0.7, and that's my setup. Oh, and I have it set for black and white. Why? Because it does do color, but when you look at the night sky, it's all blotchy and it's pretty annoying. So that eliminates one thing. I suppose it makes the files a little bit smaller because it's not, it doesn't have the color data encoded. So this is the black version, but I also have the green version. And this way I could point one camera here and one camera there. But I also have a real night vision tube like the Army uses. And so usually I have this pointing somewhere and the night vision's pointing somewhere else. So on May 18th, I went out like at 9:30, and I pointed this due east, and Arcturus was part high up in the sky. Arcturus is in the constellation Bootes. Where I point my camera due east, I get a lot of sky glow from New York City. But this thing, since it's infrared, it punches through the sky glow. What happens is it still has a low contrast, but you could see faint things. This thing was capturing things that I didn't know were there. Sure, I was sitting there monitoring the situation because I was also running the night vision tube also. And I see a lot of bright planes. I saw those, regular planes. But there's a lot of stuff I missed. And this was a scary night because there's hundreds and hundreds of these things flitting around. What were they? Drones? I don't know. There's a state park that I look over, and then, yeah, it's all developed after that, but then you're talking miles away. And what was it? I don't know. All these, I call them transient phenomena. Yes, some were meteors. Yes, some were Starlink. Yes, some are jet planes. Yes, some are helicopters. Are some drones? There's people that's flying hundreds of drones out at night. Of course, at 9:30, that's Eastern Daylight Savings Time, so that's really 8:30. And so there's maybe just the slightest bit of twilight, but since I was looking east, that would be the darkest part of the sky because the sun had just set in the west. Then later on, as the night wore on, the sky got dark and there seemed to be less of these things. So I guess a lot of airplanes took off, and they're on their way to wherever. Maybe people's, drones have small batteries, so they can't stay up forever. So maybe the drones had to go back to base and get recharged up. And you'll see that. A lot of stuff in the beginning, and then not so much stuff in the end. Oh, there's a triangle formation. Watch out for that. The triangle formation. I took a video some odd months ago of a queer triangle formation. Here's another one. I think there may have been a recent Starlink launch, and they were still flying in formation. I don't know. But what got me amazed is that I was seeing all this stuff in the east where, if anything is from reflected sunlight, that is where they would be in the sun shadow the most. All right? So Arcturus was in the east. It's like 9:30 to 11:30, something like that. And there's this crazy amount of stuff. You are not going to believe the crazy amount of stuff you see. You're going to think it's AI generated, but no. I use this camera. I just pointed in that direction, and that was it. 5-minute clips. So if I see something interesting, it would probably be in a clip, and I could just present that clip separately. So let's jump right into the video. Oh, one other thing. It said 720. My night vision tube does 1080, but 720 means smaller file size, and for our purposes it's good enough. I mean, you're not going to see individual detail in any of these transient phenomena anyway. It's just we're looking at the number, and it's a huge number. And what was special about that night? Well, I did some other nights, and maybe it's all like that. I don't know. We're going to find out. But let's jump into video, and then you draw your own conclusions about transient phenomena. This bright star on the upper left-hand side, that's Arcturus, and that's in the constellation Bootes. This is around 9:20 p.m. on May the 18th, 2026. I'm looking east over New York City. Now you're going to see the camera jigger because that's when I moved it around a little bit to keep track of Arcturus and reframe it a little bit. But these are all contiguous 5-minute clips of the same night with no interruption. You can see it started off light and low contrast because I went out an hour after sunset. Since I'm in Eastern Daylight Time, it's 8:30 real time, whatever that is. And you'll see the sky got darker and the contrast increased because that's just the way it is. Now you must be noticing all these things flitting around. They're transient phenomena. I know what they are. They could be anything. Drones, satellites. I didn't see any meteors. Now I see all these little dim guys flitting around. I did not see them visually. I saw Arcturus, which is that bright star. The 3 stars in a triangle next to it, I saw that. And those other dim stars, I really didn't see them because of the sky glow. But this thing sees into infrared, and it cuts through sky glow. See, I just jiggered the camera to move it over a little bit. And those flashes, those are cars driving up and down my street, and they're illuminating that tree. Look at all the stuff there is. There's just some little breaks where everything is calm, and then all of a sudden it picks up, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff. It's excessive, really excessive. All right, the really bright dots, those are planes. And I did see them. Absolutely, I saw those, no problem. But these little dim guys flitting around, a whole bunch of them. Oh, now I just want to point out that I fast-forwarded this. I recorded in real time at 7.5 frames per second. I ran it through some software called Video Velocity. And I only picked 1x. Since they count 0 as 1x is 2x. I think it reconfigured it from 7.5 frames per second to 30 frames per second. So it's like a 10x speed up. But, they do move slow. If you turn away for like 10 seconds, they're in a totally different spot. But when you're watching it, they seem to move very slow. Plus, some of them move so slow, you got to stare at them a little bit to make sure that, it's a star. And in fact, sometimes I thought Arcturus is moving, and it can't move. I can't see the movement of Arcturus by eye, even if you stare at it. There's just segments of so many. This is the most I've ever seen. There's a lot of regular air traffic out that night too, because this was the week before Memorial Day, and I guess a lot of people are getting a jump on their holidays or whatever. But it was just, look at all this stuff. There's like 10, 15 in the frame at a time. Then bloop, they go away, and then you get some onesies and twosies. Now there's a momentary flash in between, a dark flash between each clip. I just did that because sometimes the end of one video doesn't jive up with the start of the next video. So I put a 1/10 of a second black field in between them. And I did move the camera slightly, but I want to point out this was all the contiguous files between 9:21 and 11:20 or whatever time I was out. And I was sitting there monitoring it on my front stoop, and I didn't see most of these at all. The bright ones, yes, I saw the bright ones. The bright ones that started as Arcturus. Arcturus started on the left, and now it's in the middle. But that's always because I moved the camera. But if you look at the top of that tree, Arcturus is moving up, and it is moving towards the right. So south would be towards your right, and north would be towards your left. Now I'm looking east. Oh, look at that, a triangle formation. What does that tell you? All this crazy stuff and a triangle formation. Then after that, that was like the peak, and then I noticed that the transient phenomena is tapered off. Did you notice that some of them started in the middle and some of them ended in the middle, and some of them got really bright all of a sudden? And this would have, imagine watching it in real time, it would be in slow motion. Now, I did not see the triangle formation. Nope, not at all. And I was standing there looking at it. The sky was sort of like a milky purple. Even earlier it was a milky gray, just because I live so close to New York City, I get all that sky glow. So it's hard to verify visually what's happening. Now it's late, you see more and more stars because the sky is dark, and this is about as dark as it's ever going to get by me. What can I say? A lot of sky glow. It's just nasty business. There's still a lot, just not as many as before. But this is one night in an hour. How many is this? 100, 200 in an hour? Someone count them. I tried to count them. I gave up. When there's like 20 on the screen, it's hard to keep track. So that was an awful lot of transient phenomena. If it's man-made, natural, or not of this earth, I can't say. I really cannot say. Except, you should get yourself in a sionyx aurora and put some sort of wide-angle lens on it, or leave it with just the normal lens, and do your own study and see if you get the same results. That's all I could say. Oh, I just want to point out, there's you could download a planetary program called Stellarium. It's at stellarium.org, and it displays Starlink. So you can click on satellites, and when these satellites move, it has a little name of what it is, and you could go back and set it for this date and this time and see if it jives up with everything. Remember, that's Arcturus, that bright star there, and those are the stars around Arcturus. Stellarium at stellarium.org. And I guess they update the database for the satellites. I mean, you're right, you have a connection to the internet, so it'll update the database. I don't know how far back you could go. If 2 years ago, if you plug in, I posted a video from 2 years ago, can you plug in Stellarium and see if there were any Starlink or any other satellites that night? But don't you think there's an awful lot of them? And this is not AI generated. This is actual stuff that happened that evening. I'll be posting more.